seated.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. In the beginning, there was one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. Now we have city, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws that impact you without you knowing it. So listen to Talk Law Radio, where I help you discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. Today we're talking about new laws proposed with the federal government or the state government, Texas, and I briefly introduced the One Big Beautiful Bill, and we're going to talk about some strategies to avoid federal estate taxes, but I have to give you the disclaimer that information I give you today is not legal advice. You can only get legal advice after you sign an attorney-client agreement with an attorney and pay him a fee. But the state bar does want attorneys to inform the public about the law. So I can say what the law is, I just can't say whether you would benefit from it personally, because your personal legal advice is tailored to your specific facts and circumstances. I know you hate hearing disclaimers, but I have to do it. I'm going to talk about what the White House was saying about the One Big Beautiful Bill. It increases pass-through deduction for small businesses. It raises the small business tax deduction from 20% to 23%. It makes permanent those individual tax reductions that I talked about in the first segment. If you missed the first segment, go to YouTube, search for Talk Law Radio, look for the Lady Justice logo in the red, white, and blue, and subscribe to Talk Law Radio. Mark will edit this video and he'll post that to YouTube later on this week. Short story is that if the One Big Beautiful Bill Act does not pass, then the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act law will expire at the end of 2025. Everybody's income tax rate will go up, and some of those income tax brackets will be narrower. Something else the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is supposed to do is restore 100% bonus depreciation for expensing capital investments, allowing small businesses to immediately deduct the full cost of equipment and property, encouraging reinvestment, expansion, and modernization that will boost productivity and help small businesses, manufacturers, and contractors. There's enhanced research and development expensing, allows small businesses to engage in domestic research and development, expensing research and development costs, which will help small businesses stay ahead of competition. And you've probably also heard about this in the news, no tax on tips or overtime pay. Now, it's not magic. There are limits to that. I don't have the specifics right in front of me, but you can't just take all of your salary as a tip, for example. I was thinking that maybe I would just provide free legal services and work for tips, but then I saw some of the fine print in that law. It's not every dollar that you earn that you get to deduct. There's going to be an expanded standard deduction, simplifying tax filing, reducing taxable income for small business owners. It has tax credits and deductions tied to domestic content, manufacturing, and U.S. employment, designed to encourage companies to produce things in the U.S. instead of offshore. So those are some things that the White House thinks are good. There are some criticisms. You may have been hearing in the news that millions of people are going to lose their medical benefits because of cuts to Medicare or Medicaid. I think that's a generalization. And whenever you hear journalists and reporters generalize about something, you should probably do your own research, because they're probably leaving something out, or they're not telling the whole truth about the fact of the matter. But I did want to give you a heads up about what could happen. There is a fear that if the federal deficit gets to be too high, some say that the tax cuts in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act will lead to a larger deficit. I think that ignores the possibility that people will be earning more money because the economy will be stronger, and they'll be paying higher taxes because they're earning more money, not because they're being taxed at higher rates. So that's part of what journalists and reporters ignore, is the economics of it all. Something else that could happen, though, is there is a pay-as-you-go regulation to Medicare and Medicaid. Some of the benefits that are paid out could be cut because of sequestration, which is just like an automatic stop funding those programs type of thing. But that assumes that Congress doesn't make any exceptions for that, which they're allowed to do, which they've done before. Well, I know you're sitting on your hands trying not to get upset with me for not talking about strategies that might help somebody reduce their estate tax liability legally and ethically. And so I do want to get into some of those. Now, a lot of people want to do things the easy way, and they just want to give away their property. And so just consider these ideas. If you want to reduce your income tax, take a job that pays less money. Nobody would really want to do that. They want to have their cake and eat it too. If you want to pay lower property taxes, let your home fall into disrepair. And then you can argue with the appraiser's office about how it's not worth what they say it's worth. Well, nobody would want to do that either, because they don't want to live in a place that's falling down. If you want to pay lower estate taxes, give away all your money, but don't give away too much. Because then what's your lifestyle going to be like if you have less money? Now, that's why I say don't give away too much, because you can decide what you want to live on. And your kids and your beneficiaries, they would love to receive money and assets from you now while you're still alive, I'm sure. There could be tax consequences to them. You know, if you give them a highly appreciated asset, they get your tax basis, your cost basis, and if they ever sell that asset, then they're going to have to pay capital gains. So the definition of gift is property transferred for less than adequate and full consideration. Some people say, well, can I just sell my property for $1 or $10 or $100? And the answer is, can you do that? Yes. But there will be a gift tax, at least report that needs to be filed, the difference between the actual value and the reduced value that you actually sold it for. The difference between those things is going to be considered a gift. And if you make gifts, it's okay. Sometimes you have to tell the IRS about it, and sometimes you don't. The annual exclusion amount for 2025 is $19,000 per person per year. You can give more. If you do give more, then you should file a 709 gift tax report and report to the IRS how much you're giving, because that will reduce your estate tax exemption, your lifetime estate tax exemption. And feel free to call in if you have questions. I'm live today, Saturday, May 31st, 2025. You can call 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867. I'm in the Central Time Zone, San Antonio, Texas. If you call in because you're watching on YouTube, I won't be available to answer because I'm not here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm just here on Saturdays. I have a recorded show that comes on Sundays at 4:30 in the afternoon. And of course, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, podcasts everywhere, and you can find archived episodes on talklawradio.com. Another thing that you can do is establish a family limited partnership. Family limited partnerships are limited partnerships filed with the Secretary of State that are where your family members are the limited partners. And the whole philosophy behind it is to create a company that does have a business purpose, that holds assets, and immediately by being in a small business that's not marketed, it's not traded on the stock exchange, it's not marketable because nobody would want to buy into your family partnership, limited partnership. The company as a whole is valued less. Now, there's lots of regulations to define how the IRS is going to scrutinize your company and how they're going to value it. Just know that that's something you should ask your lawyer about if you want to. You might reduce your estate tax liability by doing something like that, but there are lots of pitfalls. You definitely have to have an attorney to get through it. Another thing that some people do with family limited partnerships is they will, year after year, transfer some part of the ownership, let me back up. The older generation, the parents, will transfer some part of their ownership in the limited partnership to their beneficiaries or children year after year in increments of $19,000 in value, because that's the annual exclusion amount. And so by giving away a piece of the company every year, that makes the parent, older generation share of the company worth a little bit less. So I hope I explained that. I know it's somewhat complicated and I jumbled it up a bit, but if you call an attorney or if you call a Marquardt law firm, we'll be able to explain it a little bit better. Another thing that you can do is establish an irrevocable life insurance trust. It requires buying life insurance, and I know some people hate the idea of life insurance, or they don't want to pay premiums, but it is a way to save money. It is a way to build wealth, and it is a way to make sure that your kids don't have to sell the family farm or the ranch in order to pay the federal estate tax after you pass away. We have to take another break. I've been talking about new laws, new Texas laws, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and some strategies to limit your liability for federal estate tax purposes. There's more to come, so stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the Ten Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.